Hi, I'm Gabrielle Lyon. I'm going to use my extra 2 seconds. In 2015, I stood on the Ignite stage and proposed an idea for a brand new graphic novel based on a 1911 textbook. And I'm here to say we made that a reality. And I want to tell you the story of how we took this analog, old school form and really brought it into being thanks to the powers of digital media. If you don't know the 1911 textbook Whacker's Manual, it's the kids' version of the 1909 plan for Chicago, which is a plan for how Chicago could come into being after the Great Fire. 100-ish years later, we have incredible disparities, and when you don't have something like a textbook that helps you understand the building blocks of a city and tells you it's your job to take care of it, it can be very hard to interpret this kind of picture. There's 2 things to remember for the rest of this Ignite talk. 1, there's a severe civic education opportunity gap, as severe as any learning gap we know about for young people of color, kids who are poor. And the second thing is, by the time the kids you're teaching today are grown-ups, most people will be living in cities. We created No Small Plans using a design brief that had input from teens, teachers, architects, planners, and we asked everybody the same question: what's most worth knowing and experiencing when it comes to urban planning and civic engagement? After a year of working with this design brief and some incredible artist illustrators who were my co-authors, we brought No Small Plans into being. In fact, it's one of the giveaways today. So what is No Small Plans? It's a graphic novel that follows the adventures of neighborhood kids in Chicago in the past, 1928, in the present, and the future. And in every single chapter, we have young people who are really wrestling with real issues in their lives, but it's also set in a real place. All of these pictures are based on real places in Chicago. You see Ida B. Wells's house in the lower right-hand side, for example. But the main thing about No Small Plans is that it's a curriculum of questions, and it's a curriculum of authentic problem solving by young people. How they make their decision is through data and crowdsourcing. But most important, it's about this process. How do you come to consensus when you have a very different set of background experiences? And in the future, there's still segregation and poverty and tensions. But at the end, they really do come up with a suggestion. We just don't know what it is. Every chapter in the book ends with a map, because exploring Chicago is part of our hope and dream for this project. We couldn't get it funded. We could not get money to print this, so we turned to Kickstarter, and in 30 days we were able to raise almost $60,000 from 1,200 backers around the world. But Kickstarter is like having a baby. If you've never done that before, it's like, oh my God, I'm so excited, and this is horrible. Because, for example, if you're successful, that's really great, but you have to feed it like every 30 seconds. The books arrived. We didn't have a forklift to get them off the back of a truck. I mean, really basic things. But the great thing is, in June, we launched Meet Your City, a 3-year civic education initiative, and over the next 3 years, we will be giving away 30,000 copies of No Small Plans for free to Chicago teens. And we're working with Chicago public librarians and teachers and 20-plus community organizations to catalyze conversations about what makes a good neighborhood, including this free toolkit that you can find at architecture.org. But what's the real impact of this? Number 1, if all they do is read the book, they're getting to see young people like them that they can relate to. There's questions at the back of the book. But we also know that our philosophy is to use No Small Plans as a catalyst, put it out in the world, and amazing projects are happening. 9 6th graders are meeting with their aldermen to try to figure out what to do with this abandoned steel site. That's just one of 90 teachers at work. The reality is, for a young person, there's no such thing as a small plan. Thank you.